I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that everything you see, touch, and feel isn't as solid as it seems. Your body, the screen in front of you, even the thoughts passing through your mind, all of it is energy. Energy vibrating at different frequencies, like an invisible ocean holding every detail of existence in place. Now, what if I told you that death is nothing more than a shift in that vibration? A transition, not an ending? Sounds bold? Get ready, because this is only the first of many revolutionary ideas we're about to explore. In the next few minutes, you'll be guided through a fascinating journey inspired by the mysterious Tibetan Book of the Dead. And I need you to stay until the end, because that's where I'll reveal answers to some of humanity's oldest questions. Questions about life, death, and what exists in the space between them. For centuries, an extraordinary text stayed hidden, protected almost like a dangerous secret. Why? Because it held a power capable of transforming everything we thought we knew about consciousness. That text is the legendary Bardo Thodol, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. But don't be mistaken, it isn't just a guide for those who are about to die. It's a map of consciousness itself, a manual that reveals who we truly are when every mask finally falls away. Imagine a knowledge so powerful, so disruptive, that it had to be concealed, waiting for the exact moment when the world would be ready for its impact. That's exactly what happened with the Bardo Thodol. Written in the 8th century by the master Padmasambhava, the text was intentionally hidden, like a spiritual treasure meant for the future. But why hide such extraordinary wisdom? The answer is simple and unsettling. This knowledge was explosive. It challenged deeply rooted beliefs, defied religious and social norms, and threatened everything we thought we knew about the afterlife. And when a truth carries this much power, many try to silence it. But truth always finds a way. And in the 14th century, the Tibetan mystic Karma Lingpa uncovered the hidden manuscript, ensuring it would survive and reach future generations. In Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the Bardo Thodol is far more than a book. It's a survival tool for the soul, a guide for those facing death, and for those who are profoundly alive. It offers a framework to understand the nature of reality and our place within it. But here's where everything becomes truly intriguing. The Bardo Thodol isn't just about death. It's about life. It's essentially a manual for living with greater clarity, a spiritual hack to perceive reality with depth and awareness. Think about that for a moment. What if everything you learned about death is incomplete? What if, instead of an ending, it's a passage, a kind of rebirth? That is exactly what the Bardo Thodol teaches. According to it, death is not a closure, it's a vibrational transition. Consciousness, the real you, doesn't dissolve. It continues, it travels, it awakens to dimensions the physical eyes cannot see. This revelation changes everything. It forces us to question our priorities, to rethink what we consider important, to live with more purpose, more awareness, more presence. If death is just a doorway, and not a dead end, how does that transform the way you live now? But don't be mistaken. What you've heard so far is only the surface. The mysteries of the Bardo Thodol are deep, intense, and often uncomfortable. And we've only taken the first step. Now let me ask you something. Are you ready to step into the unknown territories of consciousness? Are you ready to cross the borders of the visible world? Then take a deep breath. Because the journey through the afterlife begins the moment the last breath leaves the body. Welcome to the Chikai Bardo, the first state after death. A realm so far removed from our everyday perception that the mind struggles to grasp it. A state of pure perception, pure light, pure awareness. And the most fascinating part, according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this is only the beginning. Think of it this way. Every sensation you've ever known begins to fade. The weight of your body dissolves. The rhythm of your breath vanishes. Even the sense of who you are begins to evaporate like smoke carried by the wind. And then, in the absolute silence of this vast emptiness, something new emerges. A pure awareness, no filters, no limits, no form. Now contrast that with our ordinary experience. Here alive, we are dragged by a constant storm of thoughts, emotions, duties, and endless stimulation. We live so drowned in the noise of the world that we hardly ever notice the stillness that lies just beneath the chaos. But in the Chikai Bardo, that stillness is fully revealed. All the noise disappears. It's like stepping out of a crowded, suffocating room and suddenly finding yourself in a silent, infinite desert where nothing touches you, yet everything reveals you. As the physical senses dissolve and the ego, that mask we believe is us, disappears, you come face to face with what the Tibetan masters call the clear light of reality. This is not a metaphor. It's not poetry. It is described as a real experience, as real as breathing, a radiant awareness that envelops, penetrates, and illuminates everything. Imagine the brightest light you've ever seen. Not a blinding light, but a revealing one. A light that brings such profound peace it seems impossible to carry it in a human body. A total, vast, silent understanding. This light isn't something that appears only after death. It is the very foundation of existence. It is the essence of reality. It is who you have always been, but never noticed. Because the mind, with its fears, memories, and distractions, covered this truth. Death, then, becomes like opening the curtains for the very first time and finally seeing what has always been there, the true nature of consciousness. And here comes one of the most fascinating revelations of the entire Bardo Thodol. If in that moment you can recognize this light as your true essence, without fear, without resistance, without trying to understand, you hold in your hands the key to enlightenment. Right there, in that exact moment. It's as if the entire cosmos offered you the chance to break free from the cycle of suffering, rebirth, and illusion in a single breath of clarity. But there's a catch, a big one. Most of us are so attached to the body, so conditioned by fear, so addicted to human emotions and desires, that we cannot recognize this light when it appears. It's like a fish that has lived its entire life in water and, when it encounters air for the first time, has no idea what's happening. The opportunity is right there, but it doesn't know how to grasp it. That is why the Tibetan Book of the Dead insists on preparation. Through meditation, mindfulness, and self-knowledge, we can become familiar with this state of pure awareness while still alive. Think of it as a rehearsal for the most important moment of your existence. And now, consider the impact of this teaching. If consciousness can exist beyond the physical body, if our true nature is this unlimited, luminous, eternal presence, how does that change the way you view life and death? Maybe dying isn't an end, but simply a change of state, a vibrational transition from form to essence. But here's something crucial. Recognizing the clear light is not easy, and for those who cannot, the journey continues. And what comes next, get ready, is even more astonishing. Are you ready to move forward? To cross the next threshold? To dive into realms where your thoughts take form, where your fears materialize before you, and where every shadow of your mind becomes a teacher? Because it is in this unknown territory that the Chid Bardo emerges, a transformative stage in the process of death, a cosmic mirror where you confront your true self. In the Chid Bardo, reality is no longer solid. It becomes a landscape shaped by your own mind, your desires, your traumas, your hopes, and your deepest fears. And this is only the beginning. In the Chid Bardo, you will encounter two types of presences, peaceful deities and wrathful entities. But here is the first great revelation. These beings are not external. They do not come from outside. They are living projections of your own mind, pure expressions of your unmasked consciousness. The peaceful deities are reflections of your highest self, your compassion, your wisdom, your deepest virtues, your purest potential. They represent everything you can become and everything you may already be, but haven't recognized yet. On the other hand, the wrathful deities, intense, terrifying, often fierce, are your fears, your traumas, your shadows, the parts of yourself you've avoided facing your entire life. They don't appear to punish you. They appear to free you, to show what still needs to be understood, healed, and integrated. Imagine this. Standing before you are manifestations of your own inner issues, all gathered in symbolic, intense, unavoidable forms. It's like staring directly into the mirror of your soul. And yet these figures are not enemies, they are guides, masters, living keys to your awakening. Tibetan masters have always taught that if you can recognize these appearances as parts of yourself, and not as external threats, you take a monumental step toward liberation. In modern psychology, this experience perfectly echoes the teachings of Carl Jung. He said that the greatest privilege of a human life is to become who you truly are. And that is only possible when we confront our inner archetypes, both the light and the shadow. In this sense, the Chidbardo becomes a kind of cosmic therapy, a profound journey where you face what you fear and embrace what you long for, all at once. Navigating this realm means understanding that liberation lies in recognizing the nature of these visions. Yes, they are projections of consciousness. Yes, they are reflections of your own karma, the sum of your intentions, actions, and thoughts. And while in life this influence feels subtle, in the Chidbardo it becomes clear, intense, unavoidable. This insight is transformative. Working on yourself now doesn't just change your life, it prepares the path for everything that comes after death. And remember, the journey is far from over. The most important choices still lie ahead. The Sipa Bardo, the cosmic crossroads. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes one of the most decisive moments of existence. The Sipa Bardo, the stage in which consciousness prepares for rebirth. This is where you find yourself standing at a cosmic crossroads. 6 paths, 6 realms, 6 possible destinies, each shaped by deeply rooted mental patterns. These realms are not abstract metaphors. They represent the natural direction of consciousness, influenced by your own karma. Here is the map: Deva Loka, the realm of the gods. Pleasure, beauty, bliss, but still bound by impermanence. Asura Loka, the realm of the demigods. Power, rivalry, endless conflict, strength without peace. Manusya Loka, the human realm, the most valuable of all, full of challenges but also real opportunities for spiritual growth. Tiryak Loka, the animal realm, instinct, survival, limited reflective awareness. Preta Loka, the realm of hungry ghosts, endless craving, emotional hunger, eternal dissatisfaction. Naraka Loka, the hell realms, intense suffering, the direct result of unresolved karma. And here comes the central revelation. What determines which of these realms you go to is not divine judgment, it's not punishment, it's not reward. It is your state of mind at the exact moment of death, combined with the mental patterns you reinforced throughout your life. Karma doesn't judge, it simply reflects, like a mirror showing exactly what you truly are inside. This is why understanding this process is essential. Every thought, every intention, every action, everything influences the direction of this journey. This is the cycle of samsara, the continuous movement of birth, death, and rebirth, fueled by desires, fears, and attachments. But then comes the inevitable question: is it possible to escape this cycle? The Tibetan masters say yes. There is a way, and it begins precisely with the recognition of the true nature of consciousness. Consciousness through the lens of quantum physics. Now let's step into a point where science and spirituality finally meet. Quantum physics proposes that consciousness may operate as a quantum system, capable of existing in multiple states at the same time. This completely challenges the classical idea that consciousness depends solely on the physical brain. Recent research suggests that the human mind may not be confined to the body, but connected to a deeper layer of reality, a layer where time, space, and individuality become fluid concepts. And here's the fascinating part. This modern perspective aligns perfectly with Tibetan Buddhism, which has taught for centuries that reality is made of multiple dimensions accessible directly through consciousness, especially in the stages between lives. What looks like cutting-edge science today is exactly what Tibetan masters described more than 1,000 years ago. And this leads us to an inevitable question, one that can change everything. If consciousness isn't limited to the body, then what really happens when we die? The answer lies in the next chapters of this journey. The implications of this vision are so profound that, if truly understood, They can forever transform the way we perceive life, death, and the very structure of reality itself. If consciousness is not confined to the brain, but interacts with quantum fields that permeate the entire universe, then extraordinary possibilities arise, not only about who we are, but about what happens when the body finally falls silent. In the Tibetan Book of the Dead, we find the concept of the clear light of reality, a state of pure consciousness that reveals itself at the exact moment of death. And interestingly, modern researchers have drawn parallels between this experience and state changes in the quantum world, suggesting that consciousness may truly transcend matter, accessing an infinite field of possibilities. Another central revelation in the Tibetan text is the vibrational frequency of consciousness at the moment of death. According to the masters, this frequency determines the next state of existence. This teaching directly echoes quantum principles of resonance, where similar frequencies attract each other, and this opens an astonishing doorway to understanding how our emotional and spiritual vibration shapes our journey after leaving the body. But of course, there is skepticism, and skepticism is healthy. And still, it's worth asking, what if consciousness does emerge from the brain, but also connects to something far greater than it? This integration between science, quantum physics, and spirituality may be the missing bridge that allows us to see both death and life through a completely new lens. Modern neuroscience, in fact, already recognizes that meditation profoundly alters the brain and perception. In other words, spiritual preparation practices once seen as merely philosophical are now gaining scientific support. Fifth insight: quantum consciousness. The fifth insight invites us into even bolder territory, the idea that consciousness does not arise solely from neural activity, but may be a fundamental attribute of the universe itself, something that exists with or without a body, with or without a brain, with or without form. This understanding challenges every traditional notion, while opening doors to a completely new way of understanding the afterlife. Practical integration. How to apply this now? The next step is reflection. How do you bring this knowledge into your daily life? Because if consciousness truly transcends the physical, then you can train this expansion while still alive. Practices like meditation, phowa, dream yoga, and mindfulness become, in this context, real tools of transition, preparing the mind to navigate between worlds. And then comes the question that echoes like a spiritual whisper. What if every moment of your life were a preparation for death? This is one of the most powerful teachings of Tibetan Buddhism, not as something morbid, but as a reminder that living fully means being aware of impermanence. The Tibetan Book of the Dead reveals that the practices intended for the moment of death are actually tools to help you live with more presence, more clarity, and more depth right now. Phowa and the mastery of consciousness. Among these practices, one of the most extraordinary is phowa, which trains the mind to direct its own consciousness at the moment of death. For practitioners, mastering phowa means the real possibility of achieving enlightenment and escaping the cycle of rebirth, a radical opportunity for transcendence. Dream yoga and navigating the inner realms. Another transformative practice is dream yoga, which awakens lucidity inside the dream world. The dream stops being a random chaos and becomes a true spiritual laboratory, a place where you learn to navigate states of consciousness that deeply mirror the bardos experienced after death. How this applies to your life right now. You might ask yourself, what does this have to do with me today? Everything. Because Tibetan Buddhism teaches that. Meditating on impermanence, facing your fears within dreams, cultivating presence, training awareness, developing mental clarity, all of this prepares you for the final transition and teaches you to live with more intensity and purpose. Imagine, just for a moment, living each day as if it were a rehearsal for the most important moment of your existence. What would change? How would your choices look? Your relationships? Your attitude toward challenges? The Tibetan text answers, life is a rehearsal for death. And the more consciously you live, the more consciously you die, and the freer you become. The illusion of time, the sixth great insight. As we dive deeper, we encounter an even more revolutionary idea. Time might be an illusion. Tibetan masters say that at the moment of death, linearity dissolves completely. Past, present, and future merge into a single infinite instant. It's like stepping out of a movie theater and realizing every scene existed at the same time, even though you watched them in sequence. This insight changes everything. Our understanding of karma, our relationship with the past, our notion of destiny, our comprehension of rebirth. And surprisingly, modern physics is beginning to agree. Einstein's relativity already shows time is relative. Quantum theories go further. Time may not exist at the deepest level of reality. And if that's true, what does it say about who you really are? The collapse of time at death, the seventh insight. The seventh great insight states that at death, time doesn't just stop, it collapses. And in that collapse, a unique opportunity appears, the chance to break the cycle of karma and rebirth. But this only happens if there is awareness, the power of intention, the eighth insight. And here we reach one of the most profound teachings. Intention is your guiding light, in life, in death, and beyond. At the moment of death, your intention acts like a cosmic compass leading you through the bardos. If you leave with fear, attachment, regret, the journey becomes turbulent. If you leave with clarity, surrender, and awareness, doors of transcendence open. Tibetan traditions teach that it's not enough to try to be positive. You must train the mind. Meditation, visualization, mindfulness, ego dissolution, cultivation of compassion. Modern science confirms something astonishing. Our mental patterns directly influence our physiological responses, even in extreme situations. So why wouldn't they influence our experience after death? And then comes the final question, the deepest of all. At the moment of death, will we be able to control our thoughts? Will all this preparation truly be enough? The answer may transform everything you believe about the power of the mind. We could assume that the simple act of reading these words on a screen is straightforward, almost trivial. But according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this impression is only the thinnest layer of a vast, intricate, interconnected reality. And this brings us to an unavoidable question. Are we truly prepared to dive into the hidden foundations of consciousness? The Bardo Thodol presents an insight that shakes our usual concepts of perception. It states that what we see, hear, and feel isn't simply out there, waiting to be discovered. We create the reality we perceive. Every image entering your eyes, every sound echoing in your ears, every sensation moving through your body. None of it is received passively. Everything is activated, interpreted, and constructed by the mind itself. And this opens the door to provocative questions. What if the mind is the true architect of experience? What are we still unable to perceive simply because we're trapped in the habit of believing the world is stable, solid, and independent? Tibetan traditions argue that this everyday perception captures only the surface, a pale reflection of a deeper reality. The principles of shunyata, emptiness, and pratyasamutpada, dependent origination, reveal an underlying truth. Nothing exists on its own. Everything arises from an infinite web of causes, conditions, and interactions, like a cosmic tapestry where every vibrating thread influences all the others. In the process of death, the Chikai Bardo appears as the decisive moment of primordial clarity. As the layers of ordinary perception begin to dissolve, an extraordinary opportunity emerges. The chance to see beyond the veils and witness reality without the filters of the conditioned mind. And here is the transformative point. If reality is this malleable, fluid, and interdependent, then our thoughts and intentions hold far more power than we imagine. That's why the Tibetan Book of the Dead emphasizes conscious preparation, meditation, presence, and expanded perception. Imagine someone who at the exact moment of death realizes that everything they perceive, including their own fear, is nothing more than a projection of the mind. That person enters the afterlife not in despair, but with clarity, direction, and courage. That is the potential of the Bardo. But this wisdom isn't reserved for the end of life. When we awaken now to the deep interconnection of all existence, our perception changes. The world stops looking like a rigid block and becomes a continuous field of energy, consciousness, and movement. And this leads us to an essential insight. The reality we perceive is largely a mental projection, a limited reflection of a greater, infinitely interconnected reality. This brings us to a crucial point. If everything we see is filtered through the mind, then what is the true essence of existence? What lies behind all of this? Here we enter one of the deepest investigations possible, the nature of consciousness itself. Imagine a state where your mind doesn't end at the border of your body, but stretches beyond you, where thoughts connect to other thoughts, where the separation between self and other simply dissolves. This is the realm of non-dual consciousness, a vibrant state where all minds form a single living tapestry. Normally, we see ourselves as isolated individuals. But what if that separation is only a functional illusion? Think of moments when you just knew what someone else was feeling or thinking. Those flashes may be clues to a deeper reality, one in which all consciousnesses are threads of the same fabric. This understanding transforms not only our view of the mind, but also our ethics, compassion, and choices. If everything is interconnected, harming another is harming yourself. And modern science is beginning to confirm this ancient wisdom. Quantum entanglement shows instant connections between particles across space. Meditation studies show that compassion literally reshapes the brain. Research on altered states reveals correlations with non-dual experiences. Now imagine experiencing this consciousness directly, a state where you feel your unity with everything, every person, every tree, every star. This isn't just poetic imagery. People have explored and documented these states for thousands of years, and this brings us to a vital insight. Separation is a constructed illusion, useful for navigating daily life, but too limited to grasp the truth. When we recognize deep interconnection, we open the door to existential transformation. And this leads us to one of the most provocative points in Buddhism. It is possible to break the cycle of death and rebirth. This is not fantasy, not heaven, not salvation in the traditional religious sense. It is nirvana, a state of total freedom from ignorance, attachment, and suffering. Not a place, a state of being, a clarity of consciousness so pure it no longer needs to be pulled into the cycle of rebirths. But how does one arrive there? There is no single path. The Buddhist tradition offers many, tailored to different natures and circumstances, all pointing to the same core. True liberation is born when you recognize the nature of the mind and learn to inhabit that nature with clarity, courage, and presence. And now we reach the next portal of this journey, a portal that asks, quietly yet profoundly, if all of this is true, then what exactly are we? Consider for a moment the different paths that lead toward liberation. Some follow meditation, mindfulness, and the silent training of a mind that learns to observe thoughts and emotions without clinging to any of them. Others walk through compassion and service, recognizing that our freedom is intertwined with the well-being of all beings, like threads in the same cosmic tapestry. Now reflect, what if every act of kindness, every instant of conscious presence was a real step toward ultimate liberation? It's not only about what happens after death, it's about transforming life itself, deeply here and now, moment by moment. You might wonder, is this really possible? Can anyone reach this state? The answer from the great masters is simple and profoundly encouraging. Yes. Liberation does not require perfection, status, or privilege. It requires only a willing heart and a consistent practice that reveals your true nature. And here is where the most surprising part begins. The Tibetan Book of the Dead reveals that the very moment of death offers a unique opportunity, perhaps the clearest of all, to awaken. As the layers of ordinary consciousness fall away, a rare, almost luminous opening emerges, in which we can recognize who we truly are and break, once and for all, the cycle of rebirth. It's like the great final exam of life, that silent moment when all your practices, insights, and inner preparation come together. The 11th insight is direct and astonishing. Liberation from the cycle of rebirth is real. It's not a metaphor, it's not fantasy. It's a genuine possibility, available to any seeker who walks the path with sincerity. But now an inevitable and profound question arises. Does this ancient wisdom still make sense in the 21st century? Can a millennia-old text change how we deal with modern challenges? anxiety, overstimulation, or the loss of purpose? Get ready, because the answer is more transformative than you might imagine. Think about your daily routine. How often are you truly present? Most of us live trapped between memories of the past and anticipations of the future. But here's the fascinating revelation. By practicing mindfulness during simple tasks, washing dishes, walking, breathing, you tap into the same quality of consciousness that Tibetan masters cultivated to navigate the afterlife. Let's make it even simpler. The next time you wash the dishes, feel the water running over your hands, the smell of the soap, the weight of the plates. It may seem trivial, but you're actually training your mind to stay awake, present, and stable, exactly the kind of presence needed at the final transition. And now comes a powerful surprise. To understand death is, above all, to learn how to live. When you deeply acknowledge your own mortality, something shifts. Petty arguments lose power. Daily pressures soften. Life becomes sharper, more precious. You begin to treasure what truly matters. Experts recommend simple practices to integrate these insights into daily life. Start each morning with a silent moment of gratitude. Set aside a few minutes each day to reflect on your thoughts with kindness and curiosity. Watch difficult emotions the way you watch clouds passing through the sky, because none of this is about feeling good. It's about radically transforming your perception of reality. Tibetan masters believed that by confronting the small deaths of daily life, the end of a cycle, the loss of something, the inevitability of change, we are training our spirit to recognize the same truths that reveal themselves after death. It is like a spiritual rehearsal for the most important moment of existence. And here comes an intriguing point, supported by modern studies. Reflecting on mortality can significantly increase life satisfaction and give human experience more depth. It's not pessimism, it's clarity. We use the awareness of death as a catalyst to live with more authenticity. That's why the 12th insight of the Tibetan Book of the Dead is essential. Awareness of death doesn't only prepare us to die, it prepares us to live fully. By integrating this wisdom, you build not only the path to a good death, but also to a vibrant, clear, and intentional life. But then another powerful question emerges. What about those who are facing death right now? How can this ancient wisdom offer comfort, guidance, and presence during someone's final moments? Get ready. What you're about to discover may change your entire view of care, compassion, and the very meaning of dying. What if I told you that the last 49 days of a person's life could carry immense spiritual meaning? The Tibetan tradition of guiding the dying doesn't see death as an end, but as a sacred transition, and this view is gradually finding space in modern medicine. In Tibetan Buddhism, death is the beginning of a new stage in the journey of consciousness. Guiding someone through this process is a compassionate art, rooted in the certainty that the mind continues beyond physical form. Imagine offering that kind of support to someone, helping them move through their final days with serenity, clarity, and dignity, guiding them through their fears and perceptions, and perhaps even helping them recognize the clear light at the exact moment of transition. Now compare this profound perspective to what we often see today in end-of-life care environments. The focus is usually only on the body, physical comfort, pain relief. Essential, yes, but something fundamental is often missing. The spiritual and emotional needs that are just as important as physical care. Tibetan practices, on the other hand, are simple and transformative, creating a calm, quiet, harmonious environment. Speaking with softness, calmness, and positivity, avoiding emotional outbursts that might disturb the one who is departing. And, of course, reading passages from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, guiding the person's consciousness through the stages of transition. And the most touching part, these practices don't only transform the journey of the one who is dying, they deeply transform those who remain. Facing death consciously invites us to look directly at our own fears and attachments. It's almost like seeing a clear reflection of ourselves, what we avoid, what we fear, and what deep down keeps us from living fully. And in that silent mirror, a powerful invitation appears, to live more deeply, precisely, because everything is impermanent. Now imagine something different. What if we could approach death not with escape, fear, or denial, but with openness, curiosity, and a quiet courage? How would this radical shift in perception transform our relationship with life itself? How would it change the way we wake up, how we feel, how we treat people, how we care for our own dreams? Tibetan wisdom states something surprising. To embrace death is also to embrace life. When we stop running from the inevitable, we begin to appreciate intensely what has always been in front of us. This understanding leads us to a profound insight. The conscious process of dying goes far beyond physical comfort or emotional acceptance. It becomes an opportunity for extraordinary spiritual growth, both for the one who is departing and the ones who walk with them through that final passage. This ancient practice invites us to touch the heart of the deepest mysteries of existence. And this brings us to an inevitable question. If death is not an end, but a transition, how does this understanding transform the way we choose to live each day? We're about to dive into how this vision can completely revolutionize your experience of life. When we face death with awareness, something profound reveals itself. Not only is our physical form put into perspective, but the deepest truths about existence and the nature of consciousness begin to emerge. This view aligns perfectly with the teachings of the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which states that death is not a terminal event, but a revelation, a direct reflection of the essence of life itself. Now think for a moment. How would your life transform if you faced mortality not as a distant idea, but as a real, tangible, unavoidable reality? Tibetan masters insisted that contemplating the inevitability of death is essential for living authentically. It's not about pessimism, sadness, or morbidity. It's about using the awareness of limited time as a compass to identify what truly matters. More than that, confronting your own mortality opens the door to higher levels of consciousness. It's like peeling away, layer by layer, the illusions that cloud our perception until you finally glimpse the infinite vastness of reality. Under this clearer light, many of our fears dissolve and our trivial worries lose their weight. And it's in this space that we can finally recognize the profound interconnectedness of all beings and the quiet beauty present in every moment. That's why I encourage you to adopt a simple yet transformative practice: daily contemplation of mortality. Use it as a tool, a kind of mental flash that brings your attention back to what truly holds value. Let this exercise strengthen your sense of purpose, awaken compassion, and bring coherence to your choices. And now I'll ask the question that can change everything. If this moment were your last, what would you do differently? How would it change your words, your gestures, your priorities? Finally, I leave you with the most powerful question of all, the one that defines the direction of your entire existence. Given this new understanding of death, how will your approach to life change? Will you continue living on autopilot, distracted, asleep? Or will you turn every moment into a living opportunity for growth, presence, and profound connection? The answer, as always, is in your hands.